Our buddy Craig Morgan jumping on to join us now. Craig, the official beat reporter of PHNX Cardinals. He's had a banner week, so he's joining us. He's got a new article dropping now, available for your benefit at gophnx.com on Greg Dortch. But I'm gonna table that for a second here. You broke the news earlier this week that a certain Coyotes owner is out. And I feel like I ask you this every single time you're on with us, Craig, and I'm going to continue to do so. How much does the Arizona sports landscape now, with everything going on with the Coyotes, need the Arizona Cardinals to step up? Please step up, because I feel like every time I see Craig on a local program, national, or on PHNX Sports, it's just like, yeah, actually, don't expect the Roadrunners to be around much longer. Alex Morello, get out. And it's just like, Cardinals, look at this. This is an opportunity for you to take that fandom and help them out by winning games. Am I wrong?
Well, yeah, I was going to say, do you guys actually want me around? Because
of course,
yes, good tidings where I go. I mean, I'm pulling teams left and right here.
We're giving you the fun stories. You're like, oh, I'm back in the toy department. I can cover Greg Dortch. That's a great story of his rise. Trey McBride, Marvin Harrison Jr., Kyler Murray. Like, there's some good things going around this organization that we're not exactly used to. But yeah, I mean, to piggyback Johnny's question is like, this is a huge opportunity for this Cardinals team to maybe kind of take advantage of the sports market being a little bit down elsewhere.
No question. This market needs something good to feel good about. Coyotes fans need something to feel good about. So maybe we can bring them all aboard here now with Cardinals. By the way, this is the best you get for the background today. I'm probably in violation of the company rules here today, but it's been that kind of week. So,
it's better than Bo's laundry room. We can say
that. Yeah, we have a low bar on this show.
All right. I think I can fit in here then.
It's the off season. We can get nuts here. We can do what we want. But you've got an article right now available to read. I would encourage everybody to read it. It's on our guy Greg Dortch. And it's funny, Craig, like we were around Greg Dortch a lot last year. He's a part of PHNX Sports programming. And then yet Bo made a comment to me recently on air basically saying like Greg Dortch's media availability, what was it, last week? It felt like we learned more about Greg and he was his truest self now as compared to last year. Did you kind of get that sense?
Well, I didn't have perspective on that, right? Like you guys have been around him so much. He's in studio. And I said afterward, wow, he was amazing. And Bo looked at me. He was like, yeah, that's the best I've ever heard. He told us so much stuff. I was like, okay, cool. But it feels like that's part of what he was conveying in the story that I wrote is that he's so excited for this opportunity. And as he said, he worked his ass off to get to this place. He's been in the league a long time. A couple of those years, nobody even knew it because he wasn't playing. He was on a practice squad and maybe returning a couple of kicks for Carolina, but he just wasn't getting much opportunity. But he's busted his hump. It was really fun to reach out to the Wake Forest coach. And I didn't know what I was going to get. You never know, right? I have no relationship with Kevin Higgins, who was their associate head coach and the wide receivers coach. And I get on the phone with him, and he's from Jersey, first of all. He's coaching at Wake Forest. I didn't expect that. And I got this Jersey accent on the other line. And then I asked the first question, and he gives me this unbelievable anecdote, which ends up being the lead of my story. And I thanked him. He's like, I've talked to a few reporters before, Craig. I know what you're looking for. So it's just like, okay, this guy's going to be great. Yeah. But I love I'm sure you guys have already read it, but the story of that drill the shake and bake drill where it's basically half a field. You're between the 10 and the goal line, and you got to run to the sideline. You score if you get to the sideline, and all the DB has to do is tag you. He doesn't have to take you down. He literally just has to touch you. And Kevin Higgins was like, nobody could touch him. He just put a juke on him. These guys would go to the ground. So they call in, the guys that they have under scholarship because Dortch is still there at a camp. He's not even under scholarship at this point. They're just getting a look at him. Their scholarship guys can't touch him. But now all the vets are gathered around the field just loving what they're seeing. And, of course, Greg Dortch earned himself a scholarship probably out of that camp right there.
It's crazy because I did some research before we did the all-purpose podcast with Dortch, and we played some of his high school clips and how dominating he was at his, size at 5'7", and him just going out there. And Virginia has some really high-level football out there, and he was just on both sides of the football, on offense and defense, and of course special teams in the return game. It looked very similar. It translates to what we're seeing right now and where Greg Dortch is having success on the football field for the Arizona Cardinals at the NFL level. It really is crazy. But when we talk about where he was confident, like Greg, did you get the sense that this is probably the most comfortable he probably could be during his career? Because before that, like nothing was given to him. Like he had nothing set as far as a roster spot or anything. We're not talking about first team reps. We're talking about just cracking a 53-man roster.
Yeah, and he knows that nothing's given to him still, but he is penciled in as the starter in the slot. And it helps when your quarterback comes out and says what Kyler said about him. If he's 6'3", he's a top 5 pick in this league, and I'll go to war with Greg any day. That's got to help your confidence. And as he said, too, he's putting in so much work away from the field. That's the stuff that he says gives him the most confidence, the work he's doing that people don't see. So it's a great opportunity for Greg Dortch right now. You know, we're going to have Drew Petzing available tomorrow. One of the questions I want to ask, and listen, this is a problem, I guess. It's a good problem to have, but how do you distribute the ball? How are you going to find enough touches for the weapons that you have on this offense? I'm really curious about that.
It's a great question. We talk about it seemingly every day. Who's going to get fed? And we know Marv's going to get his, and we feel pretty good about Michael Wilson. But then we're talking about Trey McBride yesterday saying, I can hit 1,000 yards. It's just like, where are these yardage coming from? I do think a good portion's coming to Greg Dortch, Craig. And it's funny, like I was not the biggest Rondale Moore fan during his time here. He was hurt a lot. And I really did not feel like he was a winning player for this team on NFL Sundays. Yet the Cardinals and Steve Keim and all his wisdom, it was like, let's try to make him inevitably what Greg Dortch, I think, is on the verge of becoming. And not only has Greg Dortch seemingly taken that role from Rondale Moore, he took his number. Like that to me is one of the more fascinating aspects is like Rondale Moore was traded for a backup quarterback now. He's in Atlanta. He's a depth player in Atlanta. And in a matter of probably a quarter and a half of a season last year, Greg Dortch is like, I'm taking your role and I'm taking your number. That to me says everything I need to know about the competitor this guy is. And I know it's a coincidence. I know he wore number 4 at the collegiate level and in high school, but to me, it's like that you start to add up those things and it's like, that guy's a dog.
I actually want the story behind that now. I got to find out how quickly that happened and how it happened. That's a really good story right there. Yeah.
Can you think of, I mean, throughout, you can even look back to covering the Coyotes days, but of a player similar to Greg Dortch's rise from high school ranks to collegiate to the pros that had to scratch and claw, fight for everything that he's earned?
I mean, I've seen that at the NHL level, but in football, I see that. The other thing about hockey is there's smaller guys can succeed in hockey. It doesn't require that size necessarily. You can have small, quick guys, but there's such a premium put on size, right, in the NFL, and I think sometimes these guys don't get an opportunity because of it. But again, he keeps knocking down doors with what he's doing. He obviously did it at Wake Forest. He hasn't really had the opportunity to do it yet at this level, but they moved 2 guys out. Right? So it's his job to win right now. It's his job, as I said, to write in Sharpie instead of pencil when he gets the opportunity this season. It's
like he had to bang 2 coaching staffs over the head with his play. Like we did it in 2022. Johnny and I went through this song and dance where we're watching him at training camp. We're watching him in preseason and he's making plays. Like, Dortch is going to make this roster. And like, well, Dortch should probably vie for some playing time. He gets playing time. And then Rondale Moore, inevitably comes back from injury. So he goes back to the bench. And then Rondale Moore gets hurt again and Dortch comes back and performs. And then it's like, well, JG and Petzing, they're not going to make the same mistake. And as Johnny unearthed like last week, how many yards Greg Dortch had through how many weeks, Johnny? 10?
Yeah. He had 1 yard.
Yeah, 1 yard.
Now, I do think that was a byproduct of no Kyler Murray and Joshua Dobbs. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty wild. And here's what I'll say, Craig, and you probably get a good sense of this when you hear Kyler Murray talk, is that I use this example. We brought it up on the show. Greg posted a photo of himself on Instagram, throwing a ball up in the air from like the Cardinals media photo shoot, right? And there were 3 comments down below, one from Kyler Murray, one from Marvin Harrison Jr., and one from Michael Wilson. And it just shows you the respect that his teammates have for him. Not that never happened with Rondell Moore, but if it did, like I don't remember that. But you can tell he has earned the respect of the most important people of that locker room.
Yeah, you're definitely hearing it from all corners. And you guys brought this up earlier, but we've seen this so many times in the league. If there's a higher paid guy there or a higher draft pick, they get the benefit of doubt in this league so often. I've seen it play out a million times in the NFL, but eventually play will play out. Greg Dortch has earned this spot. And as we mentioned, both of those other guys, they're gone now. So he's got a really great opportunity this season.
Yeah, we already kind of kicked this around, but I think we will definitively rank as far as how we think the offensive hierarchy is going to go and how that ball is going to be spread around. Like you get the 4th overall pick, an MHJ. You got Michael Wilson, who's poised. We had Trey McBride. As you asked him, is 1,000 yards attainable? And he's like, oh yeah. And then, James Conner and the emphasis on the run game. It's really going to be fascinating how this pans out.
Yeah. Trey McBride's another interesting one. I'm going to dive into that story for next week. I told you, Bo, I don't want to give it away, but I've got a fun angle on that one as well. But yeah, he's being, among the elite tight ends already and hanging out with them, at that recent event. It's pretty cool to watch his rise as well. You wonder what he's capable of and what his place will be in this franchise's all-time history of tight ends when it's all said and done.
It's wild. When he's not breaking national hockey news, he's writing the best Cardinal content you can find. Go PHNX.com. Our own Craig Morgan. Check out his most recent article, Untouchable, Greg Dortch aims to cement permanent role in Cards offense. Craig got a permanent role with us here each and every week on PHNX Cardinals. Take care, my friend. Talk soon.
All right, guys, I'm going to take my giant head out of here.